first, let's put things into context. These three bills are replacing existing, already extremely popular things like IPC. Everybody quotes the IPC and CRPC and Indian Evidence Act, not that famous probably. But of course, all the talk is around the fact that doctors now don't have to face criminal prosecution if there is a death caused because of their medical negligence.
Well, you're right. That is what the Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, said in the Parliament. He said that the government was in the process of bringing in an amendment in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which is the new Indian Penal Code, where there will be an exemption for medical practitioners for causing death by negligence. Now, what this really means is that, let me put it into a perspective a little bit, is that under the Indian Penal Code, which is the penal code which exists as of date, because the new bill has to be yet passed by the Rajya Sabha and notified, because unless it is notified, it will not be a law. So, under the Indian Penal Code, medical practitioners are guilty of causing death due to negligence, and they can be penalized under section 304A of the Indian Penal Code. Now, what we've seen is that in the recent past, there has been a sudden surge in criminal cases against medical practitioners, basically the kin of the patients, leveling allegations of negligence and gross negligence and causing death to the patients. And those cases are being mounted on medical practitioners. We saw this during COVID time also, that there was large-scale outcry, and relatives of the victims were blaming the doctors, saying that the doctors were responsible. They did not give due attention, or their rash and negligent action has resulted in the death of the patient. So now, under the new penal code, I would want to call it the new penal code, not the Indian Penal Code, the new penal code says that medical practitioners are exempt from any sort of a criminal liability. So what has happened is that causing death by negligence for medical practitioners has been decriminalized. So here, what really happens is that there has been a long-standing demand by the Indian Medical Association, and they had in fact on 1st of December written a letter to the Prime Minister Modi and the Union Home Minister, saying that considering that the Government of India was in the process of drafting and redrafting the Penal Code, the Procedure Code and the Evidence Act, there was a demand from the medical practitioners that this whole thing of holding them criminally liable for the death of a patient should be decriminalized. And that is exactly what the Union Home Minister said yesterday while introducing the bill in the House, saying that this was being done after they received a letter from the Indian Medical Association.
We have Dr. JAYALAL, former National President of the Indian Medical Association, now joining us here on the News9 Plus show. We have Mr. Anil Mishra, Advocate, Supreme Court of India, also with us. I'm going to begin with Mr. JAYALAL. Talk to us in terms of how has the reception been from the doctors community, from the medical community, from Indian Medical Association with the introduction of this new criminal code which decriminalizes death due to negligence by doctors.
I mean, the whole medical fraternity in the country is welcoming this decision of the Government of India. They are very kind enough to understand the situation of the medical fraternity in dealing with the patients coming with a very emergency situation. When a person is coming in a very bad moribund state, whether it is an accident, whether it is an obstetric condition, or whether it is in a very difficult situation of cardiac failure, the doctor has to search it out and do the maximum possible to save the life. In the bargain, and the life is not in the hands of the doctors, and whatever we do, in spite of all our good attempts, the patients can die. But unfortunately, what is happening when a patient is dying due to extreme conditions of the disease, and the doctors are sued, doctors are brought to the court, doctors are brought to the police station, and they are humiliated, they are ridiculed. And very recently, we saw in Rajasthan, Archana Sharma, the lady doctor, a long-standing serving lady doctor has to commit suicide at the intents of the police filing the case under the 304A. So at this moment, and we have appealed to the government, and we have our own system. The people are committing under the Hippocratic oath, and they will do the maximum possible to save the life. And we also understand the autonomy and the maleficence, the concerns on the doctor. So no doctor at any attempt will try to do harm to the patient who is coming. But many times, in spite of all our efforts, and we cannot save all the individuals. When the patient comes in an accident and comes in a very moribund state, it will not be possible. So putting them under the suspicious death, for every one doctor who is being subjected to this allegation, hundreds of doctors saying, why should we do and why should we suffer in a case of emergency? Let us refer the case. Let us not take what is needed to do. Only if I touch, I will get into the trouble of the 304A. If I can say that I am not competent enough to do, yes, but unfortunately, the many patients are dying. And this is a grave situation. I'm thankful to the government of India for understanding the situation and saying that, yes, if they are doing a criminal negligence also, we have a criminal negligence where when you are operating on a wrong foot, when you are operating on a wrong patient, or committedly or blatantly you are doing a mistake, yes, they will be punished. But then a medical negligence, when just because a patient has succumbed to death, the doctor cannot be subjected to the criminalization, and that is what the government has come out. So we wholeheartedly welcome that, but we assure the community, we assure the entire people that we will be sticking on to our principles and code of ethics, and we will try our level best to save thousands of people who are coming to us and to do maximum possible extent to save their life.
Okay, stay with us, Dr. Jayalal. We also have Anil Mishra, Advocate, Supreme Court of India, with us. Anil Mishra, my simple question to you is this: how do you view these the provisions of the new criminal code? Is it a matter of cutting out unnecessary litigation against doctors, or even unfair litigation against doctors, or does it let the medical community go scot-free in case of a death?
Good afternoon. In my view, the amendment as proposed by the Home Minister is in line with the judgments passed by the Supreme Court. So most of the provisions in the new Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 are the main purpose have been to bring the law in accordance with the judgments, interpretations of the Supreme Court by far on different subjects. So even this amendment is in line with what Supreme Court has said in Jacob Matthews case. Also, if you see the definition of good faith all over, good faith is something which is done in good faith, which is like literal meaning if you can take. So nobody can, it has to be, you have to have a faith in your doctor. Otherwise, things would really go to chaos, as we have seen in the recent times. In fact, one example I will place before you is the illustration to section 26 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. The illustration says that a surgeon who has operated upon someone with consent, and if there is a death, the surgeon will not be held liable for such offense. So the indication was already there in the Act. Now when the Honorable Home Minister has said it in the Parliament, so it will, the amendment is required.
News9 Plus. Download now.